should. You know I should. Right, so pzip is a popular compression utility. You may have heard of it. It's very similar to 7-zip. So much so that if you go to a website like Nineknife, which allows you to automate the installation of applications, you're going to see it listed in the compression section. 7-zip, pzip, WinRAR. These are your three options. Now, if I try to download this on Windows with Windows Defender and Smart Screen and the default protections enabled, we get a warning that this isn't a commonly downloaded application. Okay, fair enough, even though I'm pretty sure it is. So I click on More Actions, and then I try to keep it. And now I get an even bigger warning. It says Microsoft Defender Smart Screen couldn't verify this file is safe because it isn't commonly downloaded. Make sure you trust the file you're downloading or its source before you open it. And this is the interesting part. If we look at the options we're given, we have a cancel and we have a delete. And that's it. You don't see a third option. It says you can report this app as safe, but if I click on that, it just takes me to a feedback form, and my app is still not downloaded. So I have to go into keep. Under this down arrow next to delete, you can say keep anyway, and that's how you're going to get this app on your computer. Now, I want you to think about this as an average user. If you were presented this warning when you tried to download an app that maybe somebody suggested, would you select keep anyway, or would you select the big blue delete button? Let me venture a guess. I think 8 out of 10 users are going to just click on the delete button. They're not going to risk it. Who wants an info stealer after all? So it raises the question, is pzip suspicious? Now, what better way to investigate than to actually run it and see what happens? So I'm going to run it in Sandbox. We will upload the file. That's our operating system of choice. Let's go for Windows 11, 64-bit, where it's intended to run, and we will just run an analysis on any.run. Big thank you to them for providing us free access to all their amazing features and sponsoring our educational content. As you can see, if the application is allowed to run, we get HUI. We're going to say next. We're going to go for a standard installation. By the way, the window looks weird because of the scaling. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. And now let's look at what pzip has actually done on this computer. Most of these are default connections made by Microsoft. We really have nothing other than a Microsoft connection tab. Now, what else does it do? If we look at the warning section, it reads the internet settings. It drops a 7-zip archiver for unpacking. Executable content was dropped or overwritten, but that really is it. This is actually a safe application, as opposed to, let's say, an info stealer that I can find in my history right away. And here you can see immediately that when we go into the threat section, we see all these detections lighting up from any.run saying that the domain is part of C2 activity or command and control related to LumaStealer. Huge difference. But of course, that's not the point. None of this is going to be obvious to the average user. They are going to look at the Microsoft feedback and they're going to say, I'm good, I'm not taking any chances. And what does that mean for the future of such a program? Nothing good. We've had developers in the past, like Chris Titus, who made a telemetry blocking tool for Microsoft, make a whole post and video talking about the app verification industry and how Windows Defender actually works, where he compares it to being the mafia for software developers. And most of you are not software developers, so you're never going to see this side of it. But if you are, you're probably going to at some point have to pay a code signing cost of hundreds of dollars just to get your application validated to get through Smart Screen. And honestly, that would be fine if Defender was doing something sophisticated to analyze the malware, find something suspicious about it. But no, and I mean, we've seen attackers all the time come up with fake certificates, find applications, we've seen supply chain attacks. So I'm not sure if features like this actually improve the security of the end user. But that, of course, is the paradox. How much is too much? And at what point are you protecting the user versus simply acting as a mafia for software developers to say, pay me money if you want your application to not be flagged as malware? Now I know, based on my audience, you're probably more on the side of the security folks and saying, no, this is actually a great feature and it's protecting users from downloading unknown, dangerous applications. But I want you to look at this list. How many of these applications you think are going to be flagged by Windows Defender or Smart Screen? Quite a few. Free, open source alternatives. Those are the apps that are often going to get flagged. And that's going to push people to use the official OneDrive, the official Clipchamp with the subscription, and so on. So I really want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you think it's fair for Windows Defender to flag applications like pzip and leave it up to the user? Do you think warnings like
Bitdefender sponsored this video so I can show you that I can juggle computers and tell you about our new amazing product, Linus Strength Pills. Watch as I make David watch all of 2019's Cats.
Wait, not like this.
Thanks to Linus Pills, I'm unstoppable. Start your subscription today by emailing me at linus.linus@linus.com.
That looks like AI.
I don't remember recording any of this. Bitdefender did sponsor a video about protecting yourself from deepfakes, though. Because now, these have gotten so good that you didn't even realize that I'm not the real Linus either. What are you guys doing?
That one looks pretty real.
Fully AI-generated videos, at least for now, still have some easy-to-spot tells, especially if they're long or if they involve a lot of movement. But a simple head replacement deepfake, or a stationary figure at a desk telling you all about their latest get-rich-quick scheme, those have gotten shockingly convincing over the last 5 years. Let's talk about both how we deepfaked and how we fully generated me for this video using just commodity hardware. But before we do that, an important message. If you've got a loved one who's going to need some help recognizing what's AI and what's not, send them to this timestamp. We've got you. Starting with our deepfake, the process is still pretty similar to how we did it last time, just 5 years refined. First, find an actor with a similar body shape to your target. You can see why this matters in this test that we did with Plouffe, who owns a display. When you blow it up on a TV, it's pretty easy to spot anomalies like his hat or his beard leaving a soft outline. But on your phone, especially with poor eyesight, mostly just looks like a guy with a slim face on a chunky body. Oh my god, am I allowed to say that?
It's okay, I wrote the script.
Okay, so we parsed the subreddit then for the latest "Is this Linus?" meme and chose Chase for our real attempt. We used Deep Face Lab to train a model on about 7,000 recent images of my face and boom, much more convincing. And this is both super cool and super scary. It was at least 100 times easier than when we did it last time. Syncing up the lips with the audio is still pretty tough, but if you keep your clips short and you edit them together in a punchy manner with alternate angles and close-ups, like you typically would, you can splice together something pretty convincing and pretty long, one 5 to 7 second shot at a time. With that said, I'm sure that a lot of you guys could still tell.
Is that real?
Realistically, you dwell the same corners of the internet that I do, and you've been watching with a sense of awe and with dread as deepfakes and video generation have gone from obviously fake garbage to, oh, this requires a little bit of scrutiny. But you, savvy viewer, are not my concern. Many, maybe even most people, can't tell anymore. And online scams and fraud are increasing every year to the point where in 2024, losses are estimated at over $1 trillion. That number came from Bitdefender, who is in the business of knowing these things. And the scariest part is that a huge portion of the scam industry is still using old school text to voice phone calls. I mean, imagine if you could hit victims with something more like this. Hey, I'm in a jam. Can I borrow $5,000? And I know some of you guys are probably thinking, tough break, boomers. You had enough of the wealth anyway. But that's easy to say until it's your family member. And we have multiple people in this office who have had family members impacted. And again, the scariest part is how easy it was to generate that clip. All we needed for it, and for the ones at the start of this video, were start and end keyframes. Once those were captured, or in many cases just scraped off of an existing video or a Facebook photo.
My name is Nicholas Plove, and I hate displays.
We got an advanced subscription to OpenArt.ai, and it was off to the races. Now, to be clear, we're not actually recommending OpenArt.ai. They've gotten a lot of deserved hate. It's just that we used it for this project because Sora 2, which was our first choice, won't let us generate anything with me in it, and OpenArt allows us to quickly experiment with many different models. Choosing a model, by the way, is not as simple as just grabbing the latest one. While newer models, like Google's Veo 3, might be generally more convincing, they also tend to have stricter content guidelines. So for certain prompts, an older model might give a more satisfactory result. Once we settled on mostly Veo 3 with a sprinkling of LAN 2.5 and Kling 2.1, we ran into our second hurdle. A lot of our prompts, completely by accident I assure you, got flagged as not safe for work. Okay, listen, I think it's pretty obvious that I wanted this, but whether it's from past experience or from the training data, our video generator thought that I wanted this. Anywho, we got around it by using Claude AI to help us create more AI-friendly prompts to help bypass these guardrails. From there, the biggest constraint was just how much money we wanted to burn on tokens. We ended up throwing away about 5 video clips for every one that we were able to use. Now, I'm sure a few of you are wondering, why not just create this on your own hardware? And that's a totally valid question. With Comfy UI and some of the open source models out there, you can create videos. But the DIY ones are not as convincing yet, and the performance is pretty rough on consumer hardware. With that said, things are moving so fast that by the time you watch this, it'll probably have improved. That leads us to hurdle number 3. See, a generated actor, unlike a deepfake actor, doesn't actually speak. So you've got to line up your clips with separately generated audio. That is enough of a challenge when the subject is stationary. You throw in some walk and talk or walk and carry your colleague, and things get pretty rough. Unlike this WAN desk pad from LXDstore.com. We use it all the time, and it's still nice and soft to the touch. We're back on subject. Look at this clip. Not too bad. Add audio, so I can show you that I can juggle computers. Ooh, that's a yikes. Now, we tried lip syncing services, but those completely fell apart when it wasn't a simple talking headshot. So, our editing supervisor extraordinaire, Emily, used Fish Audio to generate a bunch of different audio versions, and then we picked the closest matches. Perfect? No. But this was a just-for-fun video to see what we could do with limited time and with the tools at hand. Scammers, on the other hand, they can spend a lot more time and money on these clips if they think they can make money on them. That's where the sponsor of today's video comes in. That is one thing Fake Ones was right. It's Bitdefender. And their message today is pretty simple, but very important. And it's one that I agree with. Common sense is not always enough anymore. What we showed you guys today is just the beginning for bad actors out there. Scammers are constantly innovating their tactics and rapidly adopting AI, making it more difficult than ever to distinguish between what's a real emergency and what's a manufactured call that might fool a scared loved one. If you're interested in protecting yourself and your loved ones from all sorts of scams, you can get 90 days of Bitdefender's premium security product absolutely free at the link below, which includes scam protection, your AI-powered defense against online fraud. Now, let's talk about how to spot a deepfake or a generated scam video. Professor Hani Farid does this for a living and gave a pretty cool TED Talk earlier this year here in Vancouver, highlighting cutting-edge strategies for detecting AI imagery. Some of them, like analyzing image noise, probably not going to help the average person that much. But what we can do is look at things like shadows and vanishing points. See, we live in a 3D space. Whoa. But AI is creating 2D images in an attempt to simulate a 3D space. And it's doing that without really a proper understanding of the laws of physics that govern light. Let's say you stick a light in a room. You know intuitively that shadows will be cast away from it. AI kind of gets this and tries to get it right, but if you try to align the shadows with the light source, odds are that they're not going to converge properly. And the same goes for something that human artists have understood for centuries: perspective drawing and vanishing points. See, in a real picture, every object eventually converges towards what's called the vanishing point on the horizon, like this, and this, and this. But AI fails to do that. It is going to draw lines that don't converge properly. Is this always easy or convenient to check? No, because unfortunately we are far beyond the days of Will Smith's face melting as he eats his non-convergent spaghetti. And depending on the model and how much effort someone put in, sure, you might spot an extra limb or lack thereof and instantly know the image is fake, but it's gotten much harder to tell right away and is advancing at a rapid pace. So quickly, in fact, that these physics quirks today could probably be ironed out in the coming months rather than years. So what can you count on? Well, for now, your best bet is to be more skeptical about any content that you see, especially on social media. Or at least, don't rely on it for trustworthy news. And if you see anything suspicious, do some digging. Find out if it's real or just more AI propaganda. Use other people to help you. Have a look at the discussion. Even just looking a little closely to see if there's kind of a weird shimmer around an object or if some of the lighting doesn't look quite right. That can help you spot the slop. And whatever you do, please don't answer any urgent requests for your information or for your money or click on any sketchy links. If someone reaches out to you, the safest thing to do is say, hey, I'm going to call you back at the number that I already have for you and confirm if this is you. Thanks again to Bitdefender for sponsoring this video. They're a global leader in cybersecurity. They've got over 17 years of AI innovation under their belts, starting in 2008 when they introduced AI and machine learning-based threat detection. While AI's ability to reproduce and scale tactics is a threat, its replication patterns can also present opportunities for detection. We're going to have a link for their services in the video description, and I sincerely hope this video helps you and your loved ones avoid getting fooled by AI. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, maybe check out the last time we tried to deepfake me over 5 years ago.
I feel like I'm gonna puke.
I'm here at Robert Land Academy, a military-style boarding school in southern Ontario. It was created almost 50 years ago to discipline troubled teenage boys. Now it's at the center of over 80 lawsuits that have been launched against the school for allegations of various forms of abuse. By the way, I used to go to this school. Robert Land Academy was a military-style boarding school that I was sent to when I was 14 for flunking the 9th grade. I skipped most of my classes that year to play World of Warcraft and watching anime. I arrived late to my first day at RLA. After a 2-hour drive from Toronto, we pulled into the school, which sat in the middle of nowhere in Wellingport, Ontario. I was greeted by a student and a staff member in fatigues. They calmly took my bag, saying that they'd return my belongings the next time I left campus, which ended up being months later. As soon as my parents left, they started to yell at me for being late. I was told to follow them while kicking my knees up to my chest. Next, my head was shaved, and they handed me a pair of coveralls. I was taken to a room with at least 50 boys facing the wall while staff and older students screamed. Soon, they ordered me to do burpees until I was too exhausted, and I just kind of collapsed. 4 men stood over me shouting. The one who was screaming the loudest was a veteran of the Canadian Airborne Regiment, an elite unit disbanded for its actions in Somalia. To avoid a lawsuit, I'll be using the names of G.I. Joe characters for anyone who isn't a public figure. So I'll call the airborne guy CSM Duke. I was later told that CSM Duke said, "I smell a Somali," right before screaming in my face. He was no doubt referring to me, as I was the only ethnically Somali person in the room that day, probably in the school's entire history. As he kept screaming at me, I felt a sudden urge to escape. When I tried to run towards the exit, Duke claimed that I swung at him. I didn't, but that didn't really matter. The 4 men around me, they tackled me, and it was the first time that I was restrained at RLA. Over the next year and a half, I'd seen many students tackled for the smallest of infractions. I was completely unaware at the time that restraining students as a disciplinary tactic was illegal. Before it recently shut down, Robert Land Academy was the only military-style boarding school in Canada. RLA had no affiliation with the Canadian military. It was a private school for troubled teens that was home to 160 boys a year, mostly with learning disabilities and behavioral disorders. RLA was founded by Scott Bowman, a former camp counselor who claimed to be a NATO spy that did top-secret missions for the IDF. In the mid-90s, his story was proven to be completely fabricated. But when I was a student there, we had to call him Colonel Bowman and salute him anyway. Bowman believed that physical discipline and total control were the best ways to fix troubled teenage boys. But instead of helping boys, he just kind of created an environment that was ripe for abuse. Since opening its doors almost 50 years ago, the school gained notoriety for everything from hiring convicted criminals to the deaths of 3 students. I was sent to Robert Land because I had a deep sense of apathy towards school. My life has always been ruled by single-minded obsessions. Right before I arrived at RLA, that obsession was World of Warcraft. I wanted an epic mount in World of Warcraft more than I wanted a driver's license. I didn't really care about anything else. Many RLA students were kids that were in trouble with the law. Some were sent by youth probation officers. So it was kind of a weird mix, because while I was at home playing World of Warcraft, some of the kids in my barracks were jacking cars and selling hard drugs. I like to joke that I arrived there not knowing what ketamine was, and left knowing how to traffic it internationally. Every morning at Robert Land, we woke up at 6 a.m., bright lights suddenly flashed on, and staff members screamed until we got out of bed. Our days revolved around academics, kid inspection, drill, and
Air
PT.
Cadets too.
We learned to shine combat boots and
Wasn't this
pull
bad,
clothes to
but
exact
it was
measurements.
similar.
The staff used rulers during kid inspection, so if your shirts weren't folded exactly 30 centimeters long, they'd tear your whole cubicle apart. I brought the same apathy that I had towards public school with me to RLA. So I stayed a recruit for my entire first year, which was pretty remarkable. I mean, most of the students in my recruit course were promoted to cadet within like 3 weeks. There were 3 ways to excel at the school: have perfect kit, be good at drill, and do well academically. Kids who did well were promoted. They were given medals as well as perks like dessert and Friday night movies. But none of those rewards really motivated me enough to try. So I was constantly punished for not getting with the program. I did so many push-ups that I went from being able to do 0 to 100 in a month. One time for 2 weeks straight, I stood facing the wall at attention for 14 hours a day, only getting breaks to use the washroom, eat outside, and sleep. I was always on labor detail as a punishment. So instead of going to class, I'd dig holes all day, or scrap ice off the lap track, or deep clean the mess hall. But honestly, being on labor meant that I didn't have to go to class, and I kind of preferred it that way. You know, the human body adapts very quickly, especially when you're 14 years old. Eventually, nothing they threw at me felt very punishing. All of the exercise and physical labor, it became easier than breathing. But what really helped me at the time was my mindset. This is going to sound extremely dorky, but I used the punishments like a training arc. I saw it as the hyperbolic time chamber. I kept thinking about this one manga panel from Naruto, the one that's on screen right now, and I just kept thinking, yeah, that's me. When I was at RLA, exercise became my new single-minded obsession. I was being physically punished all day, but still doing push-ups and dips in my cubicle before bed. So my first year at RLA wasn't actually that bad. It was my second year. That second year broke me. But before I say how that happened, I want to tell you more about CSM Duke. Duke was the company sergeant major of B Company, which was my company. He was respected because he was a paratrooper. Duke walked with a limp from low-altitude helicopter jumps. He'd wake us up an hour early for runs, leading the pack while hobbling on wrecked knees. He'd run like 30 kilometers on messed up knees, but he'd still be laughing kids. It was incredible. Honestly, I have mixed feelings about him. Yes, he was a bully, but he was also undeniably charismatic. In 1992, Duke's airborne unit deployed to Somalia at the beginning of the Somali Civil War for a peacekeeping mission. Their job was to escort aid convoys, clear mines, rebuild infrastructure, and maintain order. One night, a Somali teenager was found hiding near their base. They assumed that he was trying to steal their rations. Then 3 members of the Canadian Airborne Regiment
I feel like I'm
tortured and
puke,
sodomized him.
man.
By morning, he was dead. At least 100 members of the
fucking
unit heard
poison.
the teenager's cries for help, but did nothing to stop it. A journalist happened to be on
gotta get
base.
out of here.
He wrote an article exposing the incident, which eventually led to the unit being disbanded. So I tell that story because 15 years later, as my CSM at RLA, Duke openly bragged about how his airborne unit was disbanded for torture. He told stories about shooting at waves of Somalis, and he'd say in front of everybody stuff like, "Your parents are from the armpit of the world." While working on this video, I made a Facebook account to reconnect with people from the school.
That's terrible.
And I had multiple people tell me without being prompted that, "Oh yeah, one of my core memories is remembering Duke being insanely racist towards you." One day he showed everybody the movie Black Hawk Down. So there's a slur in that movie that the U.S. Special Forces used for Somalis, and it's skinny. And that quickly became my nickname, which honestly I wasn't even that bothered by. I kind of liked having a nickname. So I tried to claim the nickname as my own, basically. And I started writing it in a notebook in a graffiti style that one of my friends was teaching me. And the school punished me with labor. Then they gave me an essay to read about the glorious Somali people, which they had me write a report on. So the irony was pretty
They were
rich.
calling him
They
racist.
showed the movie, everybody started calling me a slur from it. I tried to reclaim it, and I was punished for it. So this next part
What the
sounds really
fuck?
made up, but I
That's
promise it's
actually
true.
so
midway
messed
through my
up.
first
Like,
year,
think of, like,
CSM Duke threw a
what that
flashbang
would
into
do to your
another staff member's
psychology,
office as a joke.
psychologically.
The staff member allegedly suffered temporary hearing loss and was taken to the hospital. Duke was fired shortly after that, and I didn't see him again until I made a Facebook account for this project. When I saw him, I messaged him and I asked him, "Hey, were you really fired for throwing a flashbang?" And to my surprise, he replied the next day, "Yes, but I was quitting anyway, and I was sick of him bullying the boys." Quite the explosion. Tough guy shit his pants. How you doing, young man? Staying safe listening to Nick Fuentes? Crying laughing emoji. I told him that I was making a video about the school, and he said, "Make sure to include the legend, CSM Duke." He offered to do an interview, but then he stopped responding to my messages. This video is sponsored by Raycon. I've been running a lot lately, and I have this terrible habit of destroying earbuds. They fall out and die fast or just disappear. But a few months ago, I switched to Raycon, and the everyday earbuds have kind of been my default pair. Raycon's everyday earbuds have become a go-to gift for the holidays. They sound great, last long with 32 hours of battery life, and actually stay comfortable no matter how long you wear them. Over 4 million people already have a pair, so if you've been curious, now's the time to try them. For Black Friday and Cyber Monday, you can get up to 30% off all...
Oh, I'm gonna puke. It was another rough one, man. I don't know, it's just... I guess it wasn't super rough, but... I don't know, it was just like the fucking toilet paper, the toothpaste. I got a fucking double dose today. I feel like I'm gonna puke. Oh, fuck, man. Where's she blocked? I'm gonna sleep downstairs. Oh. Quit fucking talking. Oh, I don't feel so good. Oh, 49. So that's like. Oops, go back. Public consent, go. I never even thought about the toilet paper. There's 447. There we go. $837. Don't need that. He's all good. Did I not instantly premiere it? Fuck.
Raycon products, perfect for gifting or keeping for yourself. The Everyday Earbuds Classic come loaded with upgrades. Active noise cancellation, which is perfect when I'm trying to focus on writing. Multi-point connectivity so I can pair them to my laptop and my phone at the same time. They fit very nice and ergonomically. And I like the new colors, especially cool mint. It feels less like just earbuds and more like an accessory that matches me. Raycon has everyday features that actually deliver. Quick charge, 10 minutes gives you 90 minutes of playtime, up to 32 hours of battery with the case, awareness mode. I turn this on when I'm walking so I can hear cars without pausing my music. Plus, over 3 million customers already love Raycons, and they come with a 30-day happiness guarantee. So if you don't love them, returns are easy and you have nothing to lose. Raycon's going big for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. everything's up to 30% off. Just click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/Oki to save on Raycon audio products site-wide. And when you order using my link, you're directly supporting the channel. So thank you. After being at RLA for a year and a half, the school decided that I was performing so poorly that they put me on a special program. Part of the special program was a bland meal diet. So every day for about 2 months, breakfast was a slice of bread with a boiled egg. For lunch, canned tuna, a slice of bread and an apple. For dinner,
Holy
dried
shit,
noodles
that's
with
not even,
boiled
like-
chicken and
that's
no
against,
seasoning.
like-
We ate every meal outside while standing up. If we didn't finish every bite,
That's against
it
the
was
law.
pre-wrapped and
Isn't
put in
that,
the
like,
fridge,
literally against the
served to
law?
us at an even colder temperature the next meal. Every day after lunch, we did a 15. A 15 was 45 minutes of nonstop PT, which is physical training. It was basically high-intensity interval training. So 100 burpees followed by 100 jumping jacks followed by 100 mountain climbers and then a 400-meter sprint. And then it was like, get to the ground, roll, roll, roll. And the whole point is to make you puke tuna. So they'll feed you and then just make you do this in a circuit for 45 minutes straight. I was probably burning like 5,000 calories a day through exercise and labor, while eating maybe 1,000 calories a day.
Holy shit.
The food was so unappetizing, repetitive, and cold that I didn't want to eat it, even though I was starving.
That's
After a month
crazy.
and a half
That's
of that,
like,
I was more mentally and
that's
physically
torture.
exhausted
That's
than
literally
I've ever been
torture.
in my entire life. As an adult, I now know that it was because I was burning too many calories without eating
I know
enough
what it's
food.
like.
I
Like,
remember
that's-
being like
that's
just
not
depleted,
fun, man.
completely exhausted, and I was sitting in the
like
washroom stall in a
my
mess
work
hall
at
with
Amazon
toilets
when I was too
down.
nauseous to eat,
And
and
I
like
just didn't want to move from that position at all. Then a guy named Sean McCarthy, he was a kid who arrived at the school the same day that I did.
it's like you can't
handed me a
think
raisin
straight. Like you
scone from
feel
underneath
like
the He had taken it from the mess hall.
your
and
brain
wrapped it
like
in a
starts to
napkin.
like you
You see,
it doesn't have enough
McCarthy
calories for
wasn't
your
on
brain
the
to
special
work
program.
properly. Like,
So his meals were normal meals, the meals that everybody else got, which admittedly were pretty good. The thing that sticks with me about that story is I didn't say anything to him about how drained I was feeling. He just saw what was happening and was thoughtful enough to do that for me. That was 16 years ago, and I still remember the taste of that scone. It was the best thing I've ever eaten in my entire life. I haven't spoken to Sean McCarthy in over a decade, but hey man, if you're out there, I'll never forget that act of kindness. I still truly appreciate it to this day. During the special program, I started thinking about going AWOL. Legally, the school had to let us go home for 2 weeks during the Christmas stand-down. So I decided as soon as I got home, I wouldn't go back. I'd run away from home and not go back. A friend said that I could stay at his mom's place, but that fell through. So I ended up sleeping in a church and then couch surfed for a few days until I gave up and took the bus home. When I got back home, I hid under my bed because I didn't want to go back to the school. And I'm not sure how, but my mom found me. She said that she kind of just sensed my presence. I told her that I refused to go back to RLA. I didn't even really fully articulate why. Instead, I just kept repeating that I'm not going back. A little while later, my parents tried to trick me into going back to the school, saying that we were driving to Niagara Falls.
Holy
By the time I
shit.
realized what was happening, we were only 15 minutes away from the campus. I yelled until my mom pulled over. Then I opened the car door and sprinted away. I'm not sure when they got there, but a police cruiser followed me and cornered me in a ditch. The cops tried to calm me down. One of the cops talked about how he almost cried while watching the school's annual parade because of how much the boys had turned their lives around. Eerily, a year later, another RLA student died when his parents tried to drive him back to the school, and he jumped out of the car to run away, just like I did.
Holy
Next thing I knew, I was in the
shit,
school's
man.
administration building. I sat in a chair and refused to get up as staff members tried to convince me to follow them back to the barracks. Eventually, the staff members realized that I wouldn't go with them, so my parents just took me back home. I didn't know this at the time, but since I just turned 16 years old, they actually couldn't force me to stay there. I
He's
should add that I
14.
don't blame my
This
parents for trying
this
to
is
take me back to
happening
RLA.
like not
They
even
just
that
thought it was the
long
best thing
ago.
for me. And when I wanted to leave,
Like,
I
how
didn't
long
really
ago did this
articulate why I
happen?
was
This is
miserable.
happening, like,
I just kept
now.
saying I don't want to go back. After I went back home, I just ended up going back to RLA after 2 months. After only a month back at RLA, I got in a fight with another student, and I was kicked out of the school. Thinking back, they were looking for any reason to get rid of me. I mean, students were stabbing each other at RLA. There were fights every day, blanket parties. No one got kicked out of the school for fighting except for me. Now, here's a strange part of the story. When they brought us into Bowman's office to have a meeting about the fight, he said, "What happens when I tell the boy's parents that a black Muslim hit their son?" I honestly still have no clue why he said that. The kid I got into a fight with was white, but It was just such a bizarre statement. I remember everybody in the room just kind of going silent and being stunned, like, did you just say that? Why? So anyway, that's how I got kicked out of Robert Land Academy. And as soon as I got back home, it wasn't long before I started playing World of Warcraft again. Needless to say, I mean, I don't really think that school was very effective. In my entire time at RLA, I never spoke to a single psychologist or a counselor because there weren't any. I recall that there was one kid who punched through plexiglass out of frustration, and he sliced his arm open and had to be taken to the hospital. He freaked out constantly over the smallest things. He clearly needed someone to talk to, but there was never a counselor who asked him what was wrong. The school just kept physically punishing him as if that would change anything. It was such an archaic system. I mean, even prisons have counselors. RLA was incorporated under the name the Creative Center for Learning Disabilities. In early marketing, Bowman told newspapers, we take the kids other people have given up on. But in practice, RLA rejected the notion that learning and behavioral disorders actually existed. To them, every issue was a character flaw that could be beaten out with physical discipline. Robert Land Academy announced that it was closing for good in April 2025. The school said that they were shutting their doors because of a decline in enrollment. The announcement came after millions of dollars in lawsuits. Recently, I returned to the school for the first time in 16 years. RLA still stands almost identically to how I remember it. A fresh pile of snow and bone-chilling wind that cuts through your jacket.
And
The
it's
barracks,
still...
the school building, the parade square, and the mess hall all looked the same. The only thing that looked different to me was the laugh track. I rememdered it being bigger.
I was supposed to go to a military school. Well, not, it was a cadet school.
Remember? They started to take...
This is Joseph
I think it was a
Barsley.
lot- it wasn't
He was my
like this,
IC,
though.
meaning he was my in charge during my first month at the school. His job was to help me adjust the light bulb.
So what is this?
Facing the wall.
Yeah, bro.
What?
14 hours a day.
Yeah, dog.
No, 14 hours a day.
Swear. Well, as long as you're in trouble, that's what you do.
14
Everything's back in
hours?
everything.
Yeah, it feels bittersweet. Like, I feel a sense of sickness and sadness, but I also feel like I romanticize the place. Like I said before, I think there's an old me that wants to love it and wants to think that it was good for me, but I think I was just a kid. And now that I'm older, I'm like, it's justifying the abuse. What's happening here?
Yeah.
Revisiting the campus gave me one of the deepest hits of nostalgia I've ever felt. That place shaped who I am today, just not in the way it promised my parents. Before we left, Bardsley suggested that we run the lap track one last time. So we ran one final lap around a place that shouldn't exist. Thanks for watching, and until
Thanks
next
for
time.
making this. This guy... You know, you gotta talk about these things. If there's an abuse, if you're being mistreated, you need to stand up.
On this parade
And that's
square.
how I feel about my
You're only allowed to
situation.
walk around it, and if you walk
Some
to the parade
things
square,
I shouldn't say, but
you better be doing
I'm just
your
gonna
own.
say
But
everything
you
that's
never
happening to me. I
casually
don't-
do this.
Until I move out, and when I move out, it's gonna be such well, we'll see. We'll see what happens when I move out.
We did it. We broke the rule.
I just want to get healthy. That's all I want. I just want to stop being poisoned and just get healthy.
Weird, right? You're not never supposed to do this.
No, come here.
What happens if you stepped on the school parade square?
I think it was five laps. Immediate.
5 laps.
I remember it like yesterday.
Same. I remember this place more than I remember.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah, as a kid for sure. That's all I really remember.
Yeah. Just this place.
Good memories and bad memories.
Right.
Holy shit. What's going on here? lost it, I'm 100%. Like, if you think I'm lying about smoking weed, you shouldn't believe anything I say. What's this?
And it actually runs at temperatures 250 degrees.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I don't really feel like it. Oh, what's this? Alcohol withdrawal? I don't drink. When have I ever bought liquor? I don't buy liquor. It's how do these
I can
things
still
like get in
remember
here?
the sound my neck made when it broke. I remember it sounding like snapping celery. It was loud. And it's like flipping the light switch. The moment that happened, my body went completely dark, just numb. And I flailed down the back of the jump. And I could see my arms and my legs just ragdolling. And I landed on my right side, and my left hand was in front of my face. My goggles were dusty, my visor's down, and I'm just laying there, and I knew exactly what happened. I knew my neck was broken. I could barely breathe. Nothing moved.
I remember
was
I broke my
motionless as the rock
pelvis.
that was next to my hand.
Or like my ass bone.
I was with the friends. We left the bar.
I thought like I broke my back. Because my back really fucking
Another one
hurt
of
too.
my roommates who I was with, her guy friend met up with us.
But then like I saw
And
like
we
I was
live
able to
just a
move
couple
my
blocks
feet
down.
and
This
I was
is
just like,
downtown
oh thank
Sacramento,
goodness.
So it's a grid, so everything's pretty close to each other. So we walked to his house, and there was scaffolding up in front of the house, and they were like, oh yeah, we go up on the we go up on the scaffolding, and it's a really pretty view of the city, all the lights,
I feel like I
and
already
so
did this one.
they made it seem like it was totally okay, and I was like, yeah, like, and I'm pretty adventurous, like I like to do things that, I don't know, who wouldn't want to go look at the pretty city lights, like, that sounded fun to me. So we climbed up there, and then I was up there with my roommate at the time, and it was a wooden plank, and at this point I don't really exactly remember how it happened, like I have no idea how it happened, but the planks broke, and I ended up landing on my face, so like I face planted down, and I literally just couldn't move anything. Like, I could move my hands, but I could like not even get my hair out of my face. And I just remember my roommate being like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay, but I can't move. Like, I literally can't move." So I was kind of like freaking out at that point.
Basically, I went in to have Anna, and the anesthesiologist made a mistake with the epidural. She put the wrong chemical in the epidural. It burned my spinal cord, and The doctors didn't realize it right away. They thought I was sort of having experience of being like histrionic. Oh, what's happening? I said, my legs are burning. This isn't right.
They typically think it's like not
you
as
think that
bad
you
as
calm down,
it
you
is,
just had
but
a
then
baby,
like
that kind of thing to try to placate me, which just
I
made me
noticed
more
doctors they
incensed.
typically think it's
And
not as bad.
come the next day, I was still sitting there, nothing like the
I don't
first
know,
epidural.
at
I
least
knew something
in
wasn't
my
right. They put me in
situation.
the MRI. They missed it in the first MRI. They put me in another MRI, and finally, then the neurosurgeon came in, and apologized. He said, I did miss it in the first MRI. I'm really sorry. So they missed my window for steroids. If that would have been helpful, which everyone believes that when you get an injury like that can be very helpful to reduce the swelling.
I was walking to school, which was actually not normal because at the time I didn't have a car. And so my mom's friend, who was retired, would drive me to school. And this one day, she didn't drive me to school. She was sick. And so I was trying to decide whether I was even gonna go because I was a senior. I had 2 classes, but then I was like, no, I'll go. So I started walking to school, and I didn't even make it even 500 feet from my house in the tree. I was walking, and it was really windy, and a tree just fell on me. I don't know how. I don't remember. All I know is I woke up, and there was a tree on top of me. But the second I woke up, I knew that I was paralyzed because it just felt like there was nothing.
It was Memorial Day, and was diving off Havasupai waterfall, and then someone said, oh, there's a rock, you should go dive off that rock.
It's got to be so hard. That they've probably, this isn't the first time they've had to say this story. You can even see the way that they're talking about it. They've done this so many times, and it's sad, man. I'm sure there's probably mixed emotions for each person on how they feel about
people dive off
talking
that
about
rock,
this.
they didn't know that it was El Nino, and the water level changes. And so where I dove off of was too shallow. When I dove into shallow water, I hit the bottom, shattered the 5th vertebrae, but I was still totally conscious and aware
was there anybody in my car?
of what had happened, because my father, my adoptive father, ironically enough, owned a company that did spinal implants. So I grew up watching spinal cord surgeries. And I dove in, it was like a shock of electricity went through my body and shut everything off. And I couldn't move, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't get back to the surface, and I held on for as long as I could, and I said, well, that's it, I can't do anymore. I can't hold, my body is at its limit. And I panicked enough, so I accepted death. And I had a nice conversation with my creator and just said thank you for life.
It really was just a normal day. Wake up, do your normal routine, go to the track, did all my practices, got my qualifying done, and then
it makes you feel kind of grateful. That's why I'm kind of watching this. I need something to help me feel grateful.
And then a guy made a mistake in front of me.
I'm in a rough spot right now. Everything going on.
And the guy behind me jumped it and landed right on me. It was a pretty surreal moment. I remember the whole thing. I wasn't knocked out or anything, but I remember laying on the ground and not feeling my legs, and honestly not being surprised about it. I knew when it was happening, this is gonna be a big crash, So, it all changed in that moment.
I remember it was a Monday morning and got there early, was surfing for a little while, and then my friends all started showing up. And about an hour later, I took off on a wave, and I was going down the line, and I pulled inside of the barrel, and when I came out, the wave hit me on my back, and I didn't really have time to put my hands up. I ended up going head first into the water, and I thought it was deeper than it was, so felt like I'd be all right. And then just like a split second later, I ended up hitting my head on the shallow sandbar, and
over here.
Honestly, at that moment, my whole body just went limp and numb and tingly, and it was a weird feeling.
I honestly felt like my arms went behind my back and like just whole
5:30.
tingly like throughout my whole body. Like I was like hit by this pitchfork and I was just like shaking and seriously at that time like, I couldn't move and I was floating just face down in the water, just holding my breath, hoping for a wave to turn me over. And when it did, I knew like that was my chance to call for help.
We were walking home, and one of her friends saw us. They were driving, and we were walking, and they're like, "Hey, Jen, you want to ride?" And so we got in the car, and they were, you know, we went home, and the driver was arguing with his girlfriend. And so we parked, and they were still arguing, and my mom was like, "Okay, bye," you know, like super awkward, wants to get out of there quickly. And so we got out of the car, and in the time it took us to get out of the back left door and walk around the back of the car, the guy
Daily
forgot we were
upload.
there. And so he threw the car in reverse and backed up right as we were passing behind his car.
I thought I already verified.
And the back rear bumper clipped me. And I was holding onto my mom's hand, but the force knocked me down, and the tire went completely over me.
It got removed again, eh?
It was a bystander that saw the whole thing happen that came over and lifted the car enough so my mom could pull me out. And when she pulled me out, I was already gone. I was turning blue. I wasn't breathing, wasn't making a noise.
Oh, I got stuck.
And it was another witness who ran over. He saw the whole thing happen out of his bedroom window. And so he ran across the street.
Oh, man. I just had a good idea. Hang on a second. I just got a really good idea. mattress right in front of my door. Oh, maybe. This is wrong, guys. Same as my prednisone pills just fucking up and disappeared. This is... Take a 6-second video of yourself. How come I already verified it? Something stopped my verification. I already did this, and somebody that has access to my account, I guess, stopped the verification. I saw it. It got resubmitted or something like that, because I saw like the date on it changed. Like, I guess I did that to myself as some big psychological operation to fool you, I guess. For what reason, I don't know. I guess because I'm a malicious psychopath that wants to like hurt just completely random people. Has nothing. Oh man. This is crazy. Like, this is literally crazy. And like the people that believe that I'm just crazy and this isn't true, it's leading to happen even more. Like if you guys are just like trying to challenge like what's being said, like lie detector tests, something, I don't know. I will take a lie detector test. I will do whatever. You'd have to give me a chance to like be somewhere else so I can get healthy again, because I can't do that here. Somebody has access to my house. I don't know how. I know, I think it was the toilet paper. Like, the toilet paper is something I missed. I didn't think about that. So I have to wait. I can't upload this now, I guess. Oh man, it's just... It seems like things have been kicked up a notch. Like, things got kicked in fucking overdrive, dude. I gotta get out of here. I was thinking about just sleeping in my car overnight. I'm actually thinking I might do that. I gotta like leave this place like until I move. I'm thinking about maybe going to a shelter, because I don't think anyone in my family believes me either. Hello? Hi. Nope. What time is it? 6:30. Yeah, why would I be sleeping at 6:30? It's kind of Gateway Boulevard-ish. There's more. Yeah. Bumper to bumper as a delivery driver. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I'll tell you, but I don't think you believe me. But yeah, I'm. No, but I did transfer some. I canceled my credit card, and so I transferred some money from the credit card to my debit card. So I did borrow a little bit of money, but should be working soon. I'll be able to pay you back. Oh, and also, I'm looking at affordable housing, and I'm probably gonna be putting a down payment in right away. And I have to move for a new place to stay. I would tell you, but you wouldn't believe me. Yeah, sorry, but I can't live here anymore, and I'm being poisoned, and but anyways, I love you. I'll be. I thought so too. Yeah. I keep thinking it's over, but then there's just I keep getting sick, and I keep getting weed. There's just like I can tell, and I'll get really sick, and I think there's a lot of ways to know, but I gotta move, and it's gonna be okay. Like I qualify for subsidized rent, and I'll get a bachelor place for $900 a month, and it'll be cheaper than this place. We'll put this on the market, sell it, and it's kind of like it'll benefit. What's that? For a year or two, it's gonna take you to get it ready. Well, I mean, that's up to you, I guess. Like, I can help however you need to. You want to find somebody to rent it to, or however, and is Jackie living there? If she's out in a week, yeah, I can live with you. Okay. Yeah, I guess we have to discuss with Jackie and. Okay, that works. That works. Yeah, that would be good. Okay. All right, that is beautiful. That's a huge relief then. I don't really have a lot to move, I guess. Just the computer, laptop maybe, and that's maybe the TV or something, but that's it. But I still think you should sell this house. Like, I don't know why it would take a year for you to do that. That's a pretty long. How much is the penalty? Okay. Alright. Thank you, Mom, as always. Okay. Okay. I have my job interview on Monday. Okay, good. I don't know what we'll see what happens to my job interview, and I could do that. Make sure you figure that out and just send me a text. Okay. Sounds good. Alright, love you. Bye. Bye.
Gave me CPR and mouth-to-mouth and revived me and kept me stable until the paramedics came. And then when my mom got to the hospital, I was already in surgery. And after surgery, they took her to this room and told her, so he's alive, but he's sustained a C4 or 5 incomplete spinal cord injury, and he's never going to be able to move anything below the neck again. I was 14 months old.
I remember that day vividly. I remember waking up with the sun on my face. I remember excited about the new bike that I was riding. I remember the coffee that morning. Excited to get to the shop. I had nobody to ride with. My mechanic wasn't there. The bike was just